Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are continuing, finishing our budget Leonin series, and we're looking at the Commanders here. So what are we covering? Again, I've gone through this many times, so I'm going to shoot through this. We're covering what I'm calling exemplars. They're just creatures that have a very, very high affinity with a particular color. And for white, I'm doing Leonin. The only one I haven't done yet is green for elf. And they seem like people would know that. So anyway, yeah. The Leonin also, so again, white for Leonin, and they're an odd one because they actually do not have their own creature type. They really should, but they're all considered cats. So usually I have a mix of cats and Leonin. On this list is straight up Leonin. A lot of them don't have white actually, so that's kind of an interesting little tidbit there. But anyway, they're a bit more all over the place these days. They used to be heavily white, like if you had a Leonin, it was white or green pretty much every time. And now you're getting a lot more flexibility in their colors, so yeah. And by budget, I mean $2 or less. Almost all of these are under $1 actually, except for the number 1 is above $1 and barely above $1. So I'd say these are actually well under $2. Anywho, are you using the TCG market value? Not a sponsor. No, not at all. So, Jedit Ojanin, Mercenary. So he is 1 white-blue, so Azorius for a 3/3. 3 mana for a 3/3, not bad. So whenever he enters the battle, he or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay a green. So weird there. That is going to make his color identity banned, because it does actually show the symbol. So he looks like his color identity is Azorius, but it's actually banned. So it's green, white, blue. And if you do, create a 2/2 green cat warrior creature token with Forest Walk. Forest Walk is actually really good. Remember, anything that has the keyword forest, if there's a triome that says forest on it, that counts. It doesn't have to be a basic land forest, right? So that will get you your evasion a lot of the time. Also, the fact that you can build him, he's legendary and a cat. Legendary is kind of like a secondary. I'm sure there's a proper term for it, but I'm calling the secondary characteristic. So legendary, and it will also have its creature type, right? So it can be like a cat as well. So you can build kind of like a double typal or a double kindred, whatever you want to call it, deck. And have legendary cats and get bonuses from legendary and from cats is what I would do with him. There's a lot of value to be had there, and if you are paying that 1 green just over and over and over, 2/2 tokens don't sound super impressive. With Forest Walk is much better, but also you're going to have all other kind of like cat anthem effects and things like that that will make those 2/2s into like real threats. It's really not hard to do with legendary cats. We have a whole video on cat anthems that you can check out, and that would go into this very well. It's really, your board is, you're going to kind of take over the board for 1 extra mana every time you cast. It is definitely worth it. Anyway, 28 cents. Kahira, the Orphan Guard. Okay, so we actually featured this one on the list of anthems, anthem cats. Very impressive anthem. Anyway, so 1 green, white, so Selesnya for a 3/2 with Vigilance. That's not bad, not great, but anyway. Each creature you control that's a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast gets +1/+1 and has Vigilance. Each other creature. So anthem effect, kind of like a double anthem effect that affects 5 different creature types. I don't know if there are some cards that will affect more than 1 creature type, but 5 is crazy. especially with Vigilance. Vigilance, I think, is a little it's okay, it's not great. But when it's your whole board has Vigilance, that is crazy. That just changes how combats work altogether. You can pretty much always just attack with everything, and it'll still be, all your blockers are still available. Everything having Vigilance is, I think, better than a lot of other things. Maybe everything having Trample would be better, but most of them, I would take the Vigilance on most of them. Yeah. But being able to just build kind of almost 5 different creature types into a deck and have that synergy, it's just, you probably only want to do 2, but which 2? People looking at this card are not going to know, right? So it's not like a lot of commanders, as soon as they see the commander, they're like, oh, this is this deck. I know exactly what it's going to do. If you have like a Boros equipment commander, they're like, okay, Boros equipment deck, there you go. Kahira, if someone has that Kahira as a commander, I look at that commander and I'm like, I have no idea what's in this deck, right? This could be anything. The flexibility kind of really is a very important part, and it does help you out a lot. Anyway, 33 cents. Rigo, Streetwise Mentor. Okay, so we got another banned one here. So it's green or white, and white or blue. So basically you pay 3 white and cast him, or bans cast him, or any kind of combination of that. So when he enters the battlefield with he enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. So anytime he would be destroyed, you just remove the shield counter. It's a one-time indestructible. Which may not sound that impressive, but you pair this with Proliferate and suddenly you've got a commander that's just going to keep stacking those things up. Whenever you attack a player or planeswalker with 1 or more creatures with power 1 or less, draw a card. Basically, you get any kind of like token, your 1/1 tokens that are very easy to make, and you just keep throwing them. You don't even really care. As long as you get that attack in, whatever happens, you're going to draw a card. You're converting your 1/1 tokens that are almost not really worth anything into card draw, which is crazy useful. It is only once per turn, but I think that's almost kind of better in a way. A lot of times people look for abilities or things that will give this kind of like Rhystic Study, where you're just going to be drawing a whole whack of cards all the time. That gets a target put on it right away. People are like, I gotta take that card out, right? If you see Rhystic Study, it's like a kill on sight card. This kind of flies under the radar. This is going to keep drawing you cards, and like, people are probably not going to be too worried about it until it's too late. Anywho, 14 cents. Denry Klin, Editor-in-Chief. Whew! So 2 white-blue. So again, this is Azorius, like actually Azorius, not sneaky Bant Azorius. Full on Azorius. So when he enters the battlefield, he enters the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 first strike or vigilance counter. So you get a lot of flexibility in what he gets right off the bat. And whenever a non-token creature you control enters the battlefield, if Denry Klin has counters on it, put the same number and kind of counters on that creature. So just get as many different types of counters, or just a pile of +1/+1 counters on him, and everything that comes into the battlefield after gets the same. That's crazy. That is just like such a huge ability. If it affected token creatures, this would be like the most broken card in the game, but unfortunately it does not. Still just a whole lot of value there. Anyway, 9 cents. Okay, this is the cheapest one on the list. I think it's one of the, possibly the best one, arguably the best one. Obviously he's in number 2, so I think he's not the best, but yeah, if you just have Proliferate with this guy, whoa, yeah, you kind of just proliferate and win, and done. Okay, And for 9 cents, that's crazy. This should not be a 9-cent card. This is one of those cards I look at and I go, the value of Magic cards doesn't actually make sense, you know. Yeah. Number 1, okay, Roxanne Starfall Savant. I actually have a budget deck on Roxanne. I think this is an incredible card. I got one for my binder as well, because it's already gone up a bit, but I'm thinking it's going to end up being like a $5 to $10 card. I got it when it was under $1, so hey, good for me. Anyway, 3 red green. Again, Gruul. Very weird combo for a Leonin, but yeah. You can tell she's Leonin by looking at her. Again, it says cat. It never says Leonin, it says cat. But anyway, whenever she enters the battlefield or attacks, create a tapped colorless artifact token named Meteorite. When this enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target and tap to add 1 mana of any color. Already very good. 2 damage to any target anytime she attacks or enters the battlefield. So just flicker, right? Flicker her, and you're just going to keep making those mana rocks that deal damage to anything. Mana rocks that damage things when they come in. Whew! Okay, but it gets better. Oh my. Whenever you tap an artifact token, for mana, add 1 mana of any type that artifact could produce. Alright, so making treasures now make 2 mana instead of 1 when you sack them. Already crazy, but remember, there's also things like Power Stones. The limitation on Power Stone is usually that, well, you can only use that mana for artifacts. It's only for artifacts, right? But the mana she produces does not have those limitations. So you can make a mana with something like a Power Stone and get that extra mana and use that extra mana for anything. So it kind of unlocks things that are usually limited, but yeah, Power Stones are a great example because they actually do have some good options in Gruul, and also it's not hard to like get that double value. You know, you have a decent number of artifact or artifact creatures, and you make a bunch of Power Stones very easily. Then you're just going to keep producing all this extra ramp mana. She ramps better than I don't want to say any other commander in the game. That wouldn't be true, but out of this list, she's like the ramp queen easily. It's hard to find a better ramp card than her. I'm sure they're out there. Maybe you guys can tell me. But anyway, $1.11 only. The list. Okay, Jedit Ojanin Mercenary, 28 cents. I think I said Ojanin, right? Kahira, the Orphan Guard, is 33 cents. Rigo, Streetwise Mentor, is 14 cents. Denry Klin, Editor-in-Chief, 9 cents. Seriously, get some of these. There's no way this can stay at 9 cents. This is like a few buck card. Anyway, Roxanne, Starfall Savant, $1.11. The ramping she can do, just insane. Anyway, take it easy.